collaboration tools a couple different ways. And the one way we can define them is via the way that we are communicating using them. And the big breakdown is synchronous versus asynchronous. Okay, synchronous versus asynchronous. What is the difference between synchronous and asynchronous collaboration information systems? What's the difference? Yes, Katie, thank you.
Synchronous is at the same time, and asynchronous is at different times.
Okay, very good. Right now we are having a synchronous class. If I were to record a lecture and you guys are going to watch it whenever, maybe tonight at 2 p.m., 2 a.m., that is asynchronous. Okay, so let's talk about some of the tools that we have at our disposal that we can use. Okay, so there's a few of them up here. Let's talk about ones that are becoming more and more prevalent. Let's talk about the killer application of the internet, the one that changed things. And that tool is email. Okay, how long has email been around? Let's talk about email. Let's talk about that first. Let's talk about email, because it opens up a lot of things when we talk about collaboration information systems. How long has email been around? Yes?
5 years, maybe.
Okay, that's a good estimate, okay? Let's talk about, there was, where did the internet come from? Let's start there first. Where did the internet come from? Where did the internet come from? One guy invented the internet. Where did the internet come from? Okay, do you guys remember the Cold War era? What was the Cold War era? What was the Cold War era? I'm going into history now. That's not my forte. What was the Cold War era? Okay, you know what was it? Who was it between?
Russia and the United States.
Okay, it was between Russia and the United States. And it was not a war, it was called a Cold War, because we were just both kind of like tense, right? It was like, you know, we're developing these missiles, and they're developing these ballistic missiles and these nuclear weapons, and we're very worried that they're going to blow us up, and they're very worried that we're going to blow them up, right? So very tense and terse. And it was called a Cold War because it was an actual war. And during that time, there was an agency of the United States government called ARPA. Okay? ARPA stands for Advanced Research Projects Agency. Okay? And under ARPA was an agency of the United States government that I'm sure you've heard of called NASA. Okay? You've heard of NASA, sure, yes. Okay. Well, another thing that was under ARPA was they said, we want to develop some kind of communication system, a fault-tolerant communication system, so that if we are attacked, so that if a nuclear weapon hits DC or New York or whatever it is, that we can still communicate. We need something that is fault-tolerant. We need almost like, so these lines, these direct signals, if they're taken out, we're still okay. So they task an agency, the ARPA agency, to come up with some kind of networked communication ability. Okay? And what they came up with was something called the ARPANET. And the ARPANET was the first network. Okay? It was the first network that connected disparate sites. Okay? Do you guys know who's on the ARPANET? What do you think, what kind of institutions would be on the ARPANET first? Universities. It was like Stanford, UC Berkeley, MIT, okay? And they had this network, and they said, we have, they connect a couple in California, one over here in Boston, and these were connected, okay? These were connected. And there was maybe 5, maybe 6 research institutions on this ARPANET. And it was more fault tolerant because, hey, if, New York or Boston gets wiped out or whatever, we can still communicate between these other nodes, right? That was the main purpose of this. So they had this network, right, this early network, and they started developing applications for it. Okay, applications, as you guys know, are things that do something. And one of the applications that was developed was something called email. Okay, and this is like, late 60s, early 70s. And all email was, we said, okay, we have these computers at these different places, right? And we can send files, because an email is just a file. It's a file of text, right? We can send files now between these nodes. And they said we can even, have people have their own little directory. And they said, like, okay, if John Miko is at MIT, he can be John Miko at MIT, right? And that's where the @ symbol, this is where the @ symbol came from. And the big thing about this story, okay, is the guy that invented email. You guys know who invented email? Who invented the cotton gin? How many people knew Eli Whitney invented the cotton gin? When the hell was the last time you used the cotton gin? When's the last time you used email? Okay. Should we know who invented email? The man who invented email worked for ARPA, and his name was Raymond, I mean, he's still alive, so it's not was, Raymond Tomlinson. And the great thing about the Raymond Tomlinson email story is that he went to his boss, and his boss said, he said, let's do this file sharing program where we address people, we'll call it email, whatever it might be. And his boss said, you know what, that sounds like a great idea, Raymond, but it's not in the scope of our project. So if you want to do that, go ahead and do it, but do it on your lunch hour, do it after work. You're not billable hours. So he not only did he develop email, the first email application, but he did it on his own time. Okay, so email, it was kind of, the ARPA was kind of cool, right? The ARPA was kind of cool because we could control computers and do remote job entry and kind of geeky-like things. But the first killer app, you guys ever hear the term killer app? Killer app is the application that makes an invention worthwhile, right? The killer application of the internal combustion engine is the automobile, right? The internal combustion engine is cool, right? It does some things, but the application of it that is the killer thing that makes it worthwhile is what? Is the automobile. The first killer application of the network was email. It's the thing that made this network valuable. Do you know what I'm saying? Now we can communicate in an asynchronous format with people all around the country, right? We can send them a file, they can send it back, all those good things. It was the first killer application of the network. Kind of tangential, but what do you think the first killer application of the personal computer was? What made businesses want personal computers? IBM PCs, things like that. Why did they want personal computers? Because computers were for geeks like me, like hobbyists almost, right? Like people in their basement with ham radios, those kind of people. But why did business start using or start utilizing personal computers? And they were expensive at first. What was the first killer application of the personal computer? What do you think it might be? Okay, Microsoft, this is before Microsoft days. But what in Microsoft, keep going, Franklin, what in Microsoft do you think made, wow, this saves us so much time and so much effort and saves paper? Yes. Okay, it was before Microsoft days. That was important. Text editors are important, but what do you think was even more important than that?
Like electronic files.
Electronic files, important. Think of the Microsoft category of software. Spreadsheets. Okay, the first spreadsheet application that was mainstream was something called VisiCalc. It wasn't Excel. Okay, it was called something called VisiCalc, and it made people want PCs because they said, now instead of doing all this adding and having these ledgers and stuff like that, oh my God, there's something that we can store electronically that'll add all this stuff up, always be right. We can store it. We don't need these big rooms full of paper and printouts. And I don't know if your grandma may have like a passbook account in a bank. You guys know what a passbook account is in a bank? It was the way people used to bank, and some old people still like it, is you go in and you say you deposit $20 and they take your book. You actually have a book. You give your book to the teller and then they write in, okay, plus $50, now you have $1,000. And they kept one of those at the bank and you had your own. So your records were always in sync. I mean, that's where it was, 40 years ago. It's crazy, but that's where it was 40 years ago. So think about all the paper. So email was the first killer application of this thing called the ARPANET. And it is, you're 25 years old is a good way to look at it. I think I told you guys this earlier. I graduated in math, computer science in 1992. At the time of my graduation, I'd never used email. Okay, so it really only became mainstream after 1992 when the internet, the ARPANET was given to the public domain. Okay, and businesses started using it. And you had AOL and Prodigy and all those kind of things. But email was the cool thing, right? It was cheap. But let's talk about email. And as we talk about email, advantages and disadvantages, we're going to come up with a lot of material about collaboration and information systems. Give me some advantages of email. Give me some advantages of email. What are some advantages? Why do we use email? Yes. Okay, we use it to communicate, but why do we use it instead of carrier pigeon? Or why do we use it instead of, Morse code? Yes. Okay. Obviously, very fast, You know, we even are perturbed if you're talking with someone on the phone, they send us an email, and it's not there instantly. It takes 3 seconds, like, you know, they're giving halfway around the world, we're upset by it, right? So it's lightning fast, yes? Okay, very good. What else? Jeremy, you have your hand up?
That was great.
You're scratching, okay. Who else has their hand up? Someone back there.
I was gonna say fast.
Okay, fast. What else? What else?
Like efficient,
What do you mean by efficient, Matt?
you can send it to multiple people.
Okay,
Always good.
okay. So think about postal mail, right? Which is so old school, right? Think about postal mail. If I wanted to send each of you guys some kind of communication, well, because it's physical, I'd have to write or make 30 copies of a letter, use 30 stamps, it'd be 30 envelopes. But very good, it's efficient. We can do multiple recipients. I like that, efficient, good. What else? I mentioned stamps, so that should key something. Earl?
I was gonna say convenient.
It's convenient, right? And one of the convenience thing about it, give me an aspect of its convenience. What about the convenience of it, Earl?
You can put it on your phone. So
What's that?
You can use it on your cell phone.
Okay. All right, so multi-platform, I like that. What else is convenient about it? Multi-platform, what else? Go ahead, Katie.
It's free.
All right. Cheap. It's not free. Someone's paying for that storage space somewhere. But you're right. I mean, we use Gmail for free. We got Hotmail. I could set up 30 free email accounts right now, right? So to us, it's free. There's someone paying for it, but it's very, very inexpensive, right? Very inexpensive. Even for an organization like St. Francis University, email is easy. It's cheap. It's easy. Very good. It's very inexpensive. And it's not. It's expensive, inexpensive to have, but it's also inexpensive to send it, right? No one says, hey, it's a penny to send this email to someone, right? It's free, okay? So what else? What else? What are other things? Because it's asynchronous, think about some of the advantages because it's asynchronous. What are some of the advantages because it's asynchronous? Yes?
Send it whenever, like time difference.
Yeah, time difference doesn't matter. It's a 24/7 communication. It doesn't matter if the person I'm sending to is sleeping. When they wake up, they'll get my email, right? They can respond to it at their convenience, yes? All those are big advantages. Not only can we send it to multiple people, but we can now attach files. You know, we can share things that we couldn't share before, you know, physical documents. How about the addressing? Think about when you want to send a letter to someone. It's a pain in the butt. I can barely write now because I type my whole life, right? So if I have to address an envelope, it's like work to me, right? If I have to put blah, 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 and then think about email. How easy is that? Heck, it pre-fills it half the time. You know, you just put boom, 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 and it pre-fills it. So it's easy addressing. All right, so a lot of advantages. What are some disadvantages of email? And when we do that, we can thinking about all kinds of these communication systems. What are some disadvantages of email? Go on. None? Annie?
Maybe we don't have a system to like look up somebody's email, so if you don't know it already, you can't send someone an email.
Okay. Okay, so disadvantage, we could say, you know, in an organization that's not really a problem, but outside email addresses, I don't know Tim Cook's email address. If I do send an email, he's not going to open it, but outside, what else? Yes?
The safety, so you can like get hacked.
Okay, so malicious content. Bad people in the world. Katie?
You have to have internet or else you can't send it.
Okay, so it's technology dependent, right? You and I, there could be no power in the world, and you and I still have a conversation, right? We're technology dependent. You have to have electricity, you have to have internet, all those good things. Christine?
You lose like personality, like you use the
Okay.
personal interaction.
All written communication suffers from, that's a very good one, suffers from the lack of nuance, right? Like it suffers from even not cell phones, but even phone calls and web conferences. You know, you can't hear the tone of the voice, right? You can't see the expression. There is a whole bunch of communication going on between me and you right now that's not verbal, right? You're looking at my posture, I'm looking at your posture, you know, all those, I think that's called paralingual stuff, okay? There's a lot of paralingual communication. So when we talk about communication systems, anything not face-to-face, you know, except for some video, it lacks nuance. You know, it lacks that nuance. I could say something and say, great job, okay? And I could say that to you, great job, and I really mean great job. But if I send it to you in email, you might be like, boy, he's being sarcastic then. You know, and then you're being upset with me, yes? Because maybe you don't know my personality well, right? So there's all those kind of things. So nuance, misconstrued. What else? Some of these advantages end up being disadvantages. Cheap, fast, efficient. How do those become disadvantages? And this is a big thing. This is a big disadvantage. And especially for you guys. I hear from you guys all the time.
Expectations are too high.
Yeah, probably. But
Maybe you can't take it back once you send it.
okay, yeah, that's a problem. I think Google gives you 10 seconds. That's all you get to retract an email. Like it actually doesn't send it for 10 seconds. Like it's still on their server for 10 seconds. So if you don't, 10 seconds later, if it's gone, right? And email, I like that. This kind of email written communication can never really be deleted. You can delete it from your inbox, and that person can delete it from their inbox, but there's a copy of it on a server somewhere, guaranteed. Guaranteed, okay? So, yeah, once it's written, it's there forever. So be careful when you write something in an email. How about when we talk about fast, efficient, mobile reception, cheap? What does that lead to, Katie?
Well, you kind of become like impatient and dependent on it because it's so like efficient at your fingertips all the time.
Okay, so what does that lead to? You're right. You become dependent on it. You say, it's easy, it's at my fingertips. So how do people misuse it? Okay, I'll give you an example. I get emails, I don't know, you guys get the same damn email, that Needlepoint is canceled at Dorothy Day. What the hell? I don't even know what needlepoint is, right? But I just wasted a second of my life looking at that and saying, that's something immaterial to me and deleting that, right? What do we call that? And I hear this from you guys all the time. You're like, oh, I don't even check my email because it's all just junk. And I'm like, well, I sent you something very important. But you don't care because you said, well, everything else is about stuff I don't care about, right? Plummet, what do we call that?
Say those like spam emails.
Yeah, we call it, there's two words for it, okay? Spam, we got pretty good at spam. You know, the computers got very better at spam. They can detect that, hey, you don't know this person, and maybe they're trying to solicit a mortgage or, some kind of pharmaceutical help, right? They got better at that. The algorithms got better at spam. So but that is a problem. You're right. Spam is a problem because it's fast, it's cheap, and efficient. I can send, and these hackers do, they send out 10 million emails, right? Overnight, in an hour. What goes along with spam? Go ahead, Plummet, keep going.
No, I want to say that I registered a couple of websites for like winning money and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So it was all like hackers and stuff. So now they send me like thousands of emails.
Yeah, I saw your computer. You got a lot of issues with it. You got like viruses.
Maybe it's because of this as well.
Yeah. You got hacked, so I don't know. There's things going on there, but you got to get that thing clean. So spam, what else? What else?
You could be waiting a while for a response.
Okay, so because of the asynchronous nature of it, sometimes people ignore it, right? People lie to you. They say, I never got your email, or they say, I love this one. And I've said it too, but I love this one. They say, I got your email, but I didn't read it. You ever hear that one? I got your email, but I didn't read it. Like, yeah, I got it, but it was unimportant to me because it came from you, so I didn't even read it yet. I've said that to people, and I'm like, boy, that sounds terrible. Right? I got your email, but I don't have time to deal with your request. Spam, though, before we move off of spam, there's also, it's kind of it's not as used term, but it's called tuna, okay? Totally uninteresting news and administration. Those are like internal spam messages, right? Those are things we get from people at St. Francis that go, oh, all users want to know about my babysitting needs, right? Or whatever it might be. You guys know what I'm talking about? And how many of those do you get a day? A lot, right? And so what you do is because it's cheap, because it's efficient, people misuse it, right? They don't even have to think about it. They're like, if I have to print a poster, that's going to take my time, it's going to take my money. If I have to pick up the phone, that's my time. But hell, email, all users, everyone gets this damn thing. Everyone wants to know what's going on in my office right now, right? So what happens is then we ignore the medium altogether, right? I don't know how many students, especially you guys, talk to, hey, I don't even check my email, Dr. Miko. It's nothing important in there, right? Because 90% of it isn't important or relatable to you, yes? So that happens, the cheap, inefficient nature of it. What else? So lax nuance, you guys got a lot of these. What else? Anything else? And this goes with all communication systems. But when you think about it, because it's so easy to communicate, because these collaboration information systems are so useful, we suffer now from something called information overload. What is information overload? There's a lot of popular articles about this, but what is information overload? What is information overload? Yes, Matt.
We get so much like information like all the time that we're almost blind to like the stuff that's important.
Yeah, we don't exactly. We get, how many texts do you get a day? How many emails do you get a day? What we start doing is our brains don't have time to focus on any one thing for a long enough period. It's very fragmented, right? It's a very fragmented type of existence. And it's caused, there's some people that say it's caused like basically, like a technology-induced like ADHD. Not AD, attention deficit disorder, ADD. That's what I want to say. What's HD? That's
ADHD is hyperactive.
yeah,
ADD
we're
is
not
autism.
hyperactive. I'm hyperactive. I was diagnosed with hyperactive when I was a child. But anyways, attention deficit, ADD, okay? It's a technology-induced ADD. And it's not going to change much. It's actually going to get worse. What just came out? What was the big announcement yesterday? It's kind of a new way to communicate. We talked about this a little bit. What was the big tech announcement yesterday? What's that? Okay, Apple had a big announcement. They announced 4 things, basically. What were the 4 things they announced?
iPhone 6.
Okay, the iPhone 6, and there's a bigger iPhone 6. And what else?
Apple Watch.
The watch, and what was the other one?
The iOS.
Okay, the iOS, but what went along with that?
The credit card thing?
Yeah, the Pay. Apple Pay it's going to be called, okay? So it's going to use, remember, it's going to use near-field communication. We talked about that, where you're going to have, it has to have the terminal at the store, but you're going to be able to use your phone or your smartwatch to authorize payments, okay? I think they have like Macy's, they have some retailers involved, they have Visa involved, MasterCard, and American Express, which sucks. But those are the three big retailers they have involved. That's a bad deal, American Express is bad deal. Anyways, the smartwatch. I read, they said a little bit about in the press conference. When's that going to be available?
Early 2015.
They just said 2015. They didn't really say, did they say early? Okay, early 2015. But it's not like a date, right? They don't have a date on it. But a couple of things that they have, and this, I don't know if this was at the press conference, because I read articles about it afterwards. It's going to be on your wrist, obviously, and you're going to be able to communicate it to like, okay, the one thing they call it a tap or a vibrate. Anyways, instead of like me like sending a text to my wife like I miss you or something like that, something like I always do, I love you. You can do like a tap basically, and like if she's wearing a smartwatch as well, and I'm wearing a smartwatch, like it vibrates her wrist, and she's like, oh, even though we're 3,000 miles away, we're still in love or whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the communications. So now it's going to be like Morse code on your wrist. So not even like reading, not even like video, but now like vibration kind of things. You know what I mean? That's going to be a communication channel now, guaranteed. And I guaranteed in 3 years, you guys will be doing that to each other. You know what I mean? There'll be like a Morse code. I guarantee it. That'll be boom, boom, boom means something. Boom, boom means something. There'll be things like that. Okay, guaranteed. So it just continues to escalate all these things. Now, I wanted to talk about email because email is so ubiquitous and really is the precursor to all these other methods. All these other methods, email was the first killer application of the network. It's the thing that made it useful. Everything else is kind of built upon this. One of the things that's really nice, okay, some of the things we talk about like lax nuance, there are so many abilities to do this now. Okay, synchronous communication, webinars, video conference, screen sharing, multi-party text, and conference calls. That is really where the business world is at now. Have you guys ever done have you guys used multiple party phone calls or text, or what applications are you guys using for that? I want to know.
Freeway.
What are you using?
Freeway calls.
What's it called? Freeway?
Freeway call, yeah.
So it's just like a conference call. That's it. No video.
You can
Okay.
do that, but
You can do that. You do About a lot? Is that through a service? Is that through an app, or is that just through your
There's an
phone?
app for that.
There's, my phone you can do regular,
Okay.
regular, like, switch the button.
Have you guys ever heard of WebEx? Have you guys ever heard of WebEx?
Yeah.
What's WebEx? It is like kind of the industry standard. What's WebEx?
It's like a video conference software.
Yeah, it's video conference software, but it also allows you to like share documents and presentations, okay? And further, it allows you to record things. So if I wasn't able to go to the WebEx synchronously, okay, it's recorded, and I can watch it at a later date, right? So basically, you can show PowerPoints or review documents or whatever it is. But WebEx, you know, I have a lot of friends that are still working in industry in certain, and WebEx is pretty popular, okay? WebEx is pretty popular. There's also some free services that I was going to make you guys check out, but then I thought better of it. There's one called, and this is very good if you're in a sorority or fraternity or you know, a co-curricular organization, and you want to facilitate. There's something called Uber Conference. You know, you guys heard of Uber, for taxis and stuff like that. But there's something called Uber Conference that's free, and I've used it very, very often on a thing I'm working on, and it's very useful. Okay, you can do all those kind of things, but it's free. You can share documents. You can talk on your phone. You can talk on your computer. You know, there's chat embedded in it. So this kind of stuff has really elevated it to take out some of the nuance of these kind of technologies. What would you say is still, I'll leave it at that. Okay. So any other communication you guys see, what do you guys still, is text still the main communication channel for you guys? Socially, is that it? Text? Anything else I'm missing? What else? Is there anything else? I know the social media stuff like Instagram and Facebook and well, you guys on Twitter, I know all that stuff. What else? Is that
Snapchat.
Oh, Snapchat.
yeah, that's a hole of trouble from my 14-year-old son's perspective. I know that. I've looked at some of his Snapchat. They're awful. You guys use that?
Yeah.
For real? Where would you put that in line with texting?
Second.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
That surprised me. That really does surprise me. Yeah. I had it on my phone briefly and got rid of it, and I was like, I don't.
So you don't have Snapchat?
I don't. No,
I
I probably have a user ID, but I don't have it on my phone. I got rid of that app. It just seems like trouble. It just seems like trouble. Wait. It is. It is. Okay. That surprised me. All right. One more thing that I want to cover in the slides before I give you some time to work on some things. And we already talked about this a little bit. Collaboration tools for sharing content. And I went over this briefly, but this is important, okay? When we're working together, collaborating on something, there is some work product that comes out of it. There are ways we can share that content so that we keep the current version, and so versions are archived, so that we know who did what, so we knew who did what when, and we can delete out those changes. The levels of what we call content control are this. The first one is no control. This is the standard way. This is the way that existed, you know, for several years. It caused a lot of issues. I email out a document to all of you. You all now have 30 versions of that document. You make changes to it. Now we don't have one unified document. We put something on a shared server. We give you all access to it. You download it. Now we can overwrite one another. That's bad. Okay. We want to avoid this where we can. Okay. This just can lead to trouble. The second type is really called version management, and it's acceptable for most practices. And that's what we're using when we use Google Drive. Okay, when you guys are using Google Docs and Spreadsheet, we have one document in the cloud that we all can edit and collaborate. It's not 30 versions, it's not 20 versions, it's one document in the cloud that we can all collaborate on. We can keep track of the versions, we can keep track of who did what, all those things. Other things that have it, Microsoft Office 365, has anyone used that? No? That has those kind of services. Windows web apps have those kind of services. So that is usually where most business people are. They're using these kind of applications. Now, if you work for a high-level consulting company, okay, and when I talk about a high-level consulting company, I'm talking about like Accenture or some of the big ones that have consultants all over the world doing all kind of different projects. Well, you think about it, they want to do what's called knowledge management. If Brandon works for us and he did a project very similar to the one I was just contracted on, why does Brandon have to relearn everything and reinvent the wheel when he can use the things that I worked on, right? When he can like borrow from me. And that is called knowledge management or content management. Now, Microsoft SharePoint is something that's used a lot in industry for these kind of management consultant gigs. And what it is it's in the cloud, kind of like Google Drive, but it also has better functionality for like tagging documents. To tag like this is about this kind of engagement, this is about this kind of work. It also has almost like library-like functions where you can like check out documents and check in documents. It also, and you don't have to use it, but one of the things that some organizations use it for, and I think there's a slide about this as well, is it has workflow. Okay, and workflow is a lot of times documents and processes move through the same channels. Okay, if you think about the example I always use is if you drop a class or add a class. Plumber, you ever dropped the class? I'm your advisor, right? Have you ever dropped the class? Rodrigo, yes? What was that process? Do you remember what that process was?
I have to go get your signature.
Okay, so you get my signature, you have to sign that document, then what has to happen?
Get the professor's signature.
Yeah, if it's after the drop add date, you have to get the professor's signature. And because you're an athlete, what?
John Criminal.
Yeah, you have to get criminals, and then where does it go?
Go to the registrar's office.
Yeah, and then we finally get that damn thing off your schedule, right? So think about that, okay? It's very prescribed. It's a very prescribed workflow. So instead of that piece of paper and you're what we call SneakerNet, you're the network. You're moving around from my office. That's called SneakerNet. If we do workflow control, you would initiate, I want to drop this class. Okay, I want to draw from this class. It would come into my queue and it would say, Rodrigo would like to drop this class, and I would either approve it or decline it. Once I approve or decline, and it could be simultaneously, at the same time I get that notification, maybe John Crimmel gets it, okay? And then maybe the professor of record gets it. So now, instead of it being sequential, as soon as you say that, all three of us get a notification. As soon as all three of us approve it, why does it even know to go to registrar? It can automatically tie into our system, and that class gets removed from your schedule. So you think about it. We take processes that were, sometimes it took you days to track down all these people, you need the signatures. If they monitor their email, this can happen in relative ease, minutes, and you have all the approval, all the notifications happen. That is what some of these systems do, and SharePoint does this for tasks, for whatever it might be. Okay, so workflow, we call that system. I'm sorry, I said I was going to give you 20 minutes. I'm live. I'll give you 12 minutes. You guys can use the rest of the time as you see fit. I know some people are already done with the collaboration exercise, so if you're done, go on about your life, enjoy your day. If you're not and you need help, some questions, I will stick around for the next 12 to 13 minutes and I can help you. So have a good day. Frank, you have a question?
Yeah, where's that comment section you're talking about?
Frank has a good question. What I want is, everything you're doing is in the cloud, right? So when you do the Google Docs, I'll validate that you collaborated there. SharePoint, VoiceThread, I'll collaborate that I'll validate you collaborate there. But some of you have funky Twitter handles, and I don't know, like the Queen of Loretto is you. So put into the assignment itself, put in your Twitter handle so I know, okay, this was you. You know what I'm saying? So there should be a box in that assignment itself.
When is that due? Monday?
Monday at midnight, yeah.
So it's just the Twitter.
And then do everything else.
Collaboration on the notes.
Yeah.
And uploading a document, correct?
Yeah. And you're gonna do that Google form thing. Christina, that Google form?
Oh,
That
create a
survey,
survey.
yeah. I'll show you. Maya, do you have a question? Maya, do you have a question?
Are you following us back?
No.
Can you retweet?
So we're making a special Twitter account?
You can, or you can use your own.
Yeah, we're all supposed to
You're gonna block me? I may block you.
I'm about to get verified too.
Yeah, verified. I'll verify you. How do you get verified? I don't know that process. Do you have to have so many followers before you get verified? How many, what's the number? Do you guys know? I know it's a lot, yeah. It's probably, I'd say 100,000. You think?
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Yeah, so you go to the assignment. Click on go to assignment.
Did you do the survey part?
Click on into the assignment. Click on no. Click on Google Docs. Collaboration.
Wait,
Okay, now
Monday.
now go in. Yeah, and right here. Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That's pretty good. Okay, and then hit submit. All right. That says, hey, I'm done with everything, Dr. Miko. Here's my Twitter handle. Okay. Jessica, what do you have questions?
The survey, how do we?
Okay, so if you go, have you been in the Google Docs yet? Okay. Okay, good. Use a Mac, huh? Click on the Google aspect here. Okay, all right, there you go. That's go to Drive.
Really?
Go to Create,
Really?
and you want to create a form.
Brought your cake? No, you
Now,
got
what
it.
this is like a survey form. So you can say like, give it a name, and then you add an item, you can add like multiple choice or plain text. And then what happens is it'll give you a link, and you can send that out, and if people respond to it, that's like a theme. Then the information they respond to goes in like a Google spreadsheet.
Oh.
So you're a marketer, right? That's good.
Is this you with the picture?
Huh?
Is that
I can't see that part. Is it a nice headshot?
you? It doesn't really look like
Is it a
you.
glamour shot? That looks like that's me.
That's you? Sorry.
Why doesn't it look like me?
Oh, because he's not wearing glasses.
Oh, well, I have a vision issue, so I have to wear glasses.
Sorry. That was not meant to be insulting. Hey.
If anyone has any questions, let me know.
I will.
So the survey can be like anything?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's fine. So you go to Drive.
Yep. And then create, and you're gonna create a form. So down here it says forms. And it'll ask you to pick a name for your form, theme.
Are we supposed to be answering questions on this?
No, you're,
Title
one
and-
thing.
On this?
No, you're adding to the notes.
Oh, you just add.
Yeah, so if there's something in there that you have in your notes that someone didn't add, or you want to even put an example of something, like, you know, as an example, the 5-component framework, here's what the MTO ordering system looks like, or ATM. You know what I'm saying?
I didn't do something
You're trying to add value to
wrong.
those notes.
Everyone's favorite dog
For
breed.
people that don't have notes, it's nice of
I
you.
guess. So,
What are you
with
drinking in
question
there, Pablo?
title?
Orange juice? What it look like?
It looked like a beer.
Maybe next
For
time.
question title?
That's like, what, that thing falls there.
For a question title? So, like at my top least favorite sport, so.
Okay, so,
Or football.
yeah.
So it's just one question?
How do I?
Question? That's just the title of your question, right? So, no, that's it. So, yeah, what is your favorite sport? Okay, and then option 1 might be football, option 2 might be baseball, softball, whatever.
Gotcha.
Where do we put our Twitter?
If you click, yeah, go up to the top of the assignment, click on the collaboration exercises, and that takes you into the assignment itself, and then you'll see like keep going down, into there.
Oh, okay. And we just have to follow you? Or do we
Yeah,
have to
that's
do
all.
that?
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
Okay. I mean, I already retweeted one of your tweets.
Okay.
Most of the assignments
I
had.
wanna read you. I just want to read you. How many followers do you have?
Actual follows or forced follows? I don't know.
Like 300
Is
probably?
that
About
it?
300, yeah.
So now I'm done?
Did you share that with me?
I don't know.
No, you're not.
Send form?
Oh, you gotta share it. There's a share button. You can share it with me. So,
Where's the
okay,
share?
so, all right, send form. Okay. So this is your, that's the link to share, right? So enter name, so you want to say me@johnmiko.com. That's who you're sharing it, me.
That's it?
And then one other classmate.
Choose response destination, new spreadsheet?
Yes, you want a Google spreadsheet. So that means when they respond, their response will be captured in a Google spreadsheet.
Go. Okay, so.
What's your major?
Definitely not MIS.
So what is it?
Economics, business management.
Oh. Because truthfully, like you guys do stuff with like marketing research people, they do surveys in class, and this would be a good thing to use because it's free.
Yeah.
And the response is like, I see them every semester taking these big documents and entering them into spreadsheets. I'm like, why do you not do a web survey in the first place?
My other question is, how do you add comments? Like I have to add comments?
Yeah, you have to sign in first. You have to have a user ID, so you have to sign in. You're gonna have to add a new, you're gonna add an account. You don't have a registered account. So register.
After you do the survey, how do you, like,
Okay, so what's your major? You can do, okay, send form. You can send it to me@johnmiko.com. There you go. Send it. Hit send. And then say create. And that's gonna create, like, that created a Google spreadsheets, that's where your response will go.
and
Okay?
then do I have to send it to someone else too?
Yeah, I'll check that.
And then, is that the only shared document that we have to do?
No, you have to upload another document of some sort. Like it could be anything, a picture or something, your notes, your whatever, and then share that with, and that one's a little bit different to share. There's a share button. Once you upload it, there's a share button there. You click on that share and then you share it with whoever. But me@johnmiko.com is definitely one you want to share it with.
All right, and then, did you ever hear of this? I just saw it on that news the other day, well, I don't know, I was flipping through the channels and I saw it.
You can do this for your articles, Simon?
We just have to retweet something of yours?
Yeah.
With the follow it. That was-
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. Pretty good. I'll look more about that. Yeah. Yeah, so, you're graduating in December? Okay. Apparently there's a waiver for that as well we could do. So we need to, you can come do that waiver form. Okay. It's called a Gen Ed waiver, because you're under the old Gen Ed plan, I think, right? Yeah, there's a waiver, I think. So, okay. I know there is, I just don't know. You can only waive one class from that group, maybe. Hopefully, we didn't waive anything else for you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It was either that or
I thought we did that.
religious elective or something else.
And we chose a religious elective?
So that's
I'm not
just
sure
the
how that
list.
went.
Okay.
I think it
The-
was able to get away.
Well, we can do that. What?
You can just type it.
So how do you add a comment? Sorry.
You can type it.
Did I just do that?
down, so you signed in?
Yes.
Um, Did you just circle it?
This you.
Plus. You can do it via microphone, you can do it by text, all.
I can just do one.
Yep.